Alright, good morning folks. It's 5 a.m. 25.1 degrees. It's day 54. It's May 26th. And I'm waking up. Alright, good morning again folks. 6:26 a.m. and thermometer says 29.4 degrees. Sounds about right. Pretty cold. Got pretty cold last night, as you could tell when I woke up. But I wasn't uncomfortable. It was the Phantom Zero. God bless that sleeping bag, man. That is a good sleeping bag. Kept me nice and warm. I will say, experienced a phenomenon last night for the first time on this trail, which was dew. There was a big heavy dew which fell in over the course of the night. So when I woke up this morning, to the sound of the birds, my old friends the bird alarm clocks, sleeping bag was not soaked. I don't want to overstate it, but all of the sort of nylon material was definitely damp. Definitely damp. So something I'm used to having dealt with on the Appalachian Trail last year, because dew is just a nightly occurrence. But something I hadn't really experienced here. So luckily I still have my dry, sacred microfiber, small kind of camp towel that lives in my clothing bag. And so I just broke that out and just kind of wiped off that material as best I could to kind of dry it up some. Okay, I think the trail's down there. I'm just walking over blowdowns for fun, I guess. Yeah, so dried it up as best I could before I packed it up, kind of put it away. Another thing I could do if I was feeling really concerned about the level of moisture on the bag, of course, is hike for a few hours until we get to a nice sunny spot, and then dump the pack and open up the bag and let it dry up for a little while in the sun. The only bummer about that is that, of course, I pack, like most folks, pack my sleeping bag way down in the bottom of the pack, so it's not at all accessible in a pinch, in a hurry, I should say. So I probably won't do that. It'll probably be fine. But yeah, as I mentioned, it was really nice to wake up to the birds this morning. There really haven't been a whole ton of birds that I've heard on this hike as I had on the AT last year. So I had set an alarm for 6:15, but those birds started singing just a couple minutes before 5. And once they get going, man, it's just hard to go back to sleep with all their cheeriness. And I also know I just like early starts. So once I hear them, it's kind of go time. And it's just a really nice way to wake up to those birds. So no idea what kind of birds they were. All right, well, anyways, the plan for today, I just said goodbye to Midnight. She's still just kind of packing up. She said she'll probably be 15 behind me or something. We did get explicit about a rendezvous, and it would have been assumed, I think, anyways, just because we've been hiking together for quite some time now. But we're gonna try and jam up in about 10 miles here at the point at which we will diverge from the Creed cutoff and forge our own path through some harebrained scheme to get us back to the official Continental Divide Trail in another 60 miles or whatever. yeah, so 10 miles or so I'll be seeing her again, if not before. Still no word from Nurse. We're gonna wait until we get signals, try and ping him on the phone. Likely up ahead of us, but who really knows? And final thing I'll mention is that one of you viewers had mentioned my little coffee filter, my little pour over coffee filter thingy that I use every morning that I have a working stove, such as this morning, and put me hip to a tip of, instead of clipping it onto my little silicone cup, I could just kind of let the whole filter bag rest inside, almost like a tea bag, and brew a stronger cup of joe that way. And boy, it worked. So thank you for that tip, because I'm pumped this morning. Pumped. All right, I thought that was my final note, but one more final note. Buddy Michael back home made a donation to the hike, so definitely, those are always appreciated. Michael, thank you very much. All that information for that is down in the descriptions for all these videos. So, oh gosh, speaking of descriptions for these videos, okay, hopefully this is the final note. I've mentioned a couple times this kind of creative path that Midnight and I are going to chart to get across these next few days before picking up the official Continental Divide Trail again in the San Juans. If you are curious about that, you probably know by now, but I am dropping a link to the complete Gaia GPS track of each one of my days in the description for each video below. So if you're curious to see exactly when and where and how fast and how slow or whatever, and for how long I hiked today, along exactly which course, my phone is currently recording that, and every day I save that, and for each of these videos you will have a link in the description with the exact path that I walked and all of the sort of kind of nerdy statistic data that goes with that. So statistical data that goes with that. That is all I got this morning, guys. And look at that, sun's starting to kiss up on the hills that I'll be walking along. So, whew, hopefully I'll warm up. I'll talk to you all later. All right, how's it going, folks? It is 10:43, 61.8 degrees, and I am just now making it to Forest Service Road 528, which is exactly 10 miles into the day. My goodness, look at that, a 14-day camping limit. Whew. 14 days should be like 250 miles or something. Something like that, I don't really know. Anyways, Forest Service Road 528 is the spot which me and Midnight Chocolate had mentioned this morning to one another, being our kind of rendezvous spot. So, you know, I broke out of camp before her, and this is the spot we were going to meet up and continue and kind of discuss what the rest of the day is going to look like, and how far we're going to go today. It's been a great day today. Weather's been super, super nice. Just like yesterday, there has been minimal wind, which has been a radically new experience for this trail. I feel like I've been born and lived my entire life in just abject wind gusts, incredibly strong winds, but mercifully the last 2 days have been really, really nice in that respect, and nice temperatures as well. So anyways, we had hoped, I think, yesterday to go, I think I even mentioned it, to go a little further than we wound up going, and that's fine. I mean, we're not beating ourselves up over it or anything like that. It just wound up being a slightly harder day and a lot more blowdowns and stuff like that than we had anticipated, plus a slightly later start than usual. So I think today we're both kind of thinking of trying to make up a little bit of mileage from yesterday, and perhaps, if conditions allow, even try and bank a few miles in case there are any days later in this jump that are more like yesterday than today with respect to difficulty or below ideal mileage. So anyways, for now, it looks like there's a bunch of these great sitting stumps around. I'm gonna see if I can't find one in the shade. I'm gonna drink a little water. I'm gonna have a little snack. I'm gonna keep listening to Anna Karenina on audiobook, and I will check in with you guys a little later on. Oh, I should mention, the rest of the day, I think today is gonna be just Forest Service roads, so I'm not sure how many shots we'll get, but man, I'll tell you, the grass is always greener on the other side. When we were in New Mexico, all I dreamed of was trail, and now that we've been on some really difficult trail the past week, I'm dreaming of these forest roads. So that's just the way it goes. So yeah, I'm gonna sit down. I'll talk to you guys later. Folks, 7:31 and 62.1 degrees. Made it to camp for the night. So this is over by Antelope Ranch, Antelope Farm Ranch, or Antelope Park Ranch, or something like that. This sort of hill you see behind me is the tapering or lower end of Hogback Mountain. Let me see what the name of the highway is that we're camped right next to. It is Highway 149. So that's kind of just over this ridge. And also, just over this ridge is a site which I'm seeing today for the first time in, let's see, what, 57 days, I think? And that site is the Rio Grande. One and the same Rio Grande as divides the United States from Mexico. And you may just be able to see some of the setting sunlight reflecting off some of its bends and curves and turns. And that river is quite a bit more severe right here than it is in most parts of Texas that I've seen anyways. Yeah, it was a bit of an adventure to get here. So Midnight had charted an interesting little midnight alternate for us to take. But unfortunately it turns out that some of those roads which we had sort of planned on taking are indeed private roads on private land. So without any sort of clear alternative available to us, other than like adding 15 miles to a day, which was already teetering on the brink of 20 miles, we both kind of like somewhat begrudgingly and guiltily and reluctantly decided just to go ahead and jump a fence and hike through some private land, which went fine. We didn't see anyone. There were no dogs that barked at us, no sheriffs or anything like that. So that was pretty great. Don't plan on making it a habit, but you know, it worked once, so that's pretty good, and hopefully that's as much as I need it to work. So yeah, today was a pretty long day, I guess. I mean, I think probably the longest day I've had in 2 weeks or so, considering I took whatever 8 days off. And then tomorrow I think we're talking about doing like a 10-mile walk along that highway I just mentioned to get to some reservoir before taking a trail, which will ultimately lead us back up onto the Continental Divide Trail, which would be cool. So if we're able to make the Continental Divide Trail tomorrow night, that would be great. And if we are not, then that is just fine as well, because tomorrow is Friday and commences Memorial Day weekend. And I'm kind of thinking, hoping really, more than anything, that there might be some kind people who give us some libations or snacks or something down at that reservoir tomorrow. But we'll kind of have to see how it goes, that's for sure. Either way, we need to get back to the CDT at some point. So that's where we'll be heading, by way of 10 miles on a highway. So, oh, we heard from Nurse today too, which is really, really good. I guess his knee had been bothering him earlier in the hike, and the 8 days of food which he had schlepped for this jump were kind of taking a toll. So he was deliberately taking it slow and easy. And I don't think Midnight or myself are quite certain whether he had planned on skipping this route, which Midnight and I have been planning, and heading to Creed, or what. I think if he's ailing, it probably makes a lot of sense for him to just take the quickest path to a bed and an ice pack. But you know, he's a nurse, he's a big boy, he'll make his own decision, and hopefully we'll reconnect with him in whatever, a few days or a week or whatever. With that, I think that's all there is to report for today. So, yeah. Oh, I guess I'll just mention we also saw Grasshopper on trail. That's a dude I started with, started the same day as me, so you can go back to my day one video if you don't remember Grasshopper. But a nice guy indeed. And I think it looked, for all accounts, to all accounts, as though he was planning on taking the Creed cutoff. So likely he'll be ahead of me here. If not tomorrow, then the day after. But yeah, not a bad little view we got tonight. That's all I got. I'll check in with you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching.